As you step onto your mat, coming into about the middle and into child pose with the knees together. Use your hands to help press your hips back over your heels. And then release your head down. And either keep your hands in front to help you push the ground away and drop your hips back, lengthening your low back and deepening the tuck. Or if you want, you can wrap your hands around by your feet. Or if your head doesn't touch the ground, maybe rest your head on your hands or your fists. And then begin to settle down into this small posture and breathe a little deeper. So you're shifting into Ujjayi Pranayama, finding the flow of the breath and hearing that sound in the throat. I'll give you the inspiration for today's practice, which comes from Osho. And he says, find ecstasy within yourself. It is not out there. It is your innermost flowering. The one you are looking for is you. You are the traveler, and you are the destination. In experiencing the ecstasy of your own being, you have achieved the goal. Deepening your breath, use your next inhale to uncurl from child pose. Lift your arms out and up, and as you exhale, bring your hands down along your midline to Atmanjali Mudra. Taking a few breaths here, now that you're upright. Breathing in to tune in. Releasing yourself forward into table and opening your fingers. So if you can, lift both wrists and thumbs to stretch at the base of the fingers before you bring your palms down. Spread your fingers out and then curl your toes under, lift your hips up and lift your heels up, coming into modified down dog. Bend your knees. Keeping your knees bent, your heels lifted, tilt your tailbone up towards the sky. Finding the lift of your sits bones, and then keeping that tilt and lift through your pelvis as you stretch your heels a little deeper towards the ground, drawing the front of your thighs back away from your belly without letting your low back round or your shoulders creep up, keeping your ears between your arms. And then anchoring a little deeper through your left heel. The next time that you inhale, lift your right leg up and back, coming into three-legged down dog, actively drawing back through the ball of your foot, through the strength of that right leg to take weight out of your right hand, and feeling the left thigh draw back as well so that your left waist stays long and you feel less weight in your left hand. Next time that you exhale, tuck your right knee underneath, coming into full one-legged plank. So you're keeping your left knee off the ground if you can. Draw your right knee up towards your ribs and yet bring your hips a little lower towards the ground and broaden your shoulders. Look forward slightly. Bring some hope into it by taking your gaze up. Find a long line from your back heel to your head. And next exhale, push off with your back toes and bring your right knee onto your right thumb. If you don't reach that far forward, then bring your hands back. And if you can, open your right foot out towards your left hand, so you're deepening that stretch in your right hip, but adjust for the safety of your knee and the breathability of that stretch in your outer hip. Push the ground away with your hands and draw yourself up taller, scaffold up so that you can lengthen and draw out. Finding where you can rest your head on your fists or your hands, and then easing your hips into deeper opening by taking them side to side. Keeping the ball of your right foot engaged to protect your right knee. And if it works for your back knee, keeping the ball of your left foot, your toes curled under. Bring yourself back to center. Draw your hands back underneath. Draw your belly up from underneath and lengthen back through your back heel and out through the top of your head. And as you come up, scaffold up onto your fingertips, so you're lifting your hips up higher so you can draw your low belly in and up, stabilize your low back, and then ease your way down into greater opening in the hips. If you feel confident here and can take some weight out of the hands and keep the yang energy in the legs and the core, then bring your hands either onto your knee, your front knee, or if you feel even more confident, bring them into yoga mudra behind you, interlacing your fingers, drawing your chest open without overarching your low back, so strong belly. If you have your hands behind you and you want to go to the next step of Raja Kapotasana, King Pigeon, then bend your left knee, hold on to the front of your foot, and use that foot pressing into your hand to open your left shoulder, to draw that left shoulder open. Keep strong belly lifted up so you don't strain through your low back. Bringing your right hand and arm out in front if you're in this full pigeon pose. Strong energy through both feet, pressing the floor away with your right foot, pressing into the left hand with your left foot. Next time you exhale, fold down, transition up and back into shaking out that right leg. And then as you stabilize your left foot and align your hands, move into flipper. Taking your right leg up as high as it'll go without pulling your left knee into the midline or your left shoulder up and out. So taking your underarms back evenly. As you release your foot and continue to lead up with your knee and open your thigh, breathe. Next time you inhale, lengthen back and release into modified down dog again. Stabilizing your root system in your hands and your feet so you're even left to right. And then bend your knees, lift your heels, tilt your tail up. Keeping your front hips folded into the front of your thighs, your sits bones tilted up, then stretch your heels down. Taking a breath up from your hands to your hips, lengthening and exhaling through your legs, from your hips to your heels. Next time you inhale, lengthen your left leg up and back, coming into three-legged down dog, drawing both legs back so your waist stay even, keeping your shoulders broad on your back, feeling the stretch through that right leg as you lengthen and lift through the left. Get that one more inhale. And next time you exhale, come into one-legged plank. If possible, keep your back knee off the ground, tucking your front knee up off the ground, pulling it up into your ribs, into your chest. Broaden your shoulders. Find a long line from your right heel through to the top of your head. Breathe. You're almost there. Developing core strength. And this next time that you exhale, push off with your right toes, shift forward and bring your left knee on top of your left thumb if you can, or at least as wide as your front hip. If you can open your left foot more towards your right hand and deepen the stretch, great, but be mindful of your knee. Engage through the balls of both feet, lift up to lengthen through your low belly, and then lengthen out, drawing out and releasing your head down and rocking your hips side to side, finding where you feel a deeper opening. Even though you're releasing your upper body, keep your feet engaged, especially the ball of the left foot. Taking your breath into what you're feeling in your hips. Bring yourself back to center so you can feel you're centered on the ball of your right foot, between the big toe and the little toe, and on the right knee. Draw your belly in and up and bring your hands back under your shoulders and traction forward, lengthen out as you come up. And then as you start to emerge upright, scaffold up with your arms so that you come up higher and can lift your low belly into your low back. Keep that engagement and then ease down, opening front of right thigh, outer left. If you feel confident there, you can take weight out of your hands, bring your hands onto your left knee, It's the closest place. You can always bring them back to the floor if you need. If you want to go from here, then bring your hands into Yoga Mudra, interlacing fingers, drawing shoulder blades towards each other behind you. And as you open your chest, keep your belly lifted strong so you don't overarch your low back. Feet strong as well. And then if you want to go into Raja Kapotasana, bend your right knee, hold onto your right foot with your right hand, and let that energy between your hand and your foot open and lift your upper right chest, keeping your belly strong. And then expressing through the left hand, through the left arm, creating a gesture of lightness and opening. So if you don't feel that, then bring your hands back down and support yourself more. Next time you exhale, release down and push the ground away, lift up with your belly, transition up and back, shake your left leg out. Resetting your right foot in line with your right front hip, hands in line with each other. Spread your fingers out wide so you have good root system in your hands. Your shoulders broad on your back. Take your left leg up as high as it will go and then flip it. Drop your foot towards your right butt cheek and continue to lead up with your knee, with your thigh, keeping your right knee aligned over the middle of your toes, your shoulders even. Give that a breath to open through your thigh. And then next inhale, lengthen back. And as you exhale, come forward like you're going to come into Kapotasana again, but instead release by pushing the floor away with your right hand and bringing your legs out wide, facing off the side edge of the mat. Coming into wide angle posture, Upavista Konasana. Only take your feet as wide as your toes and your kneecaps point up. So if they're rolling back, bring your legs a little bit narrower. Draw the flesh of your butt cheeks out so that you're more on your sits bones than your tailbone. We're going to use the same system of scaffolding with the arms. So use your hands behind you to push the ground away. Find where you get that lordosis, that curve through your low back to help you lift up onto your pelvis. And then exhale and push the ground away with your legs, pressing down through the tops of your thighs and out through the soles of your feet. Inhale, lift up through your spine, lifting your sternum. Exhale, press down through your legs. And see if you can then start to take some weight out of your hands by substituting what the arms were doing with what the legs and the core are doing. If you feel like you can sit up tall without losing your low back, without collapsing through the low back, great. If the integrity of your low back means that you lean back, great. Our priority is that low back curve. If you end up coming upright or forwards, you can bring your hands inside your legs, in which case use your hands the way that we do in squat pose, where you draw your chest up, your shoulder blades onto your back by leveraging your hands inside your legs. Keep checking your low back. Use your hands to find out what's happening in your low back. Exhaling, pressing the floor away with your legs, pressing out through your active feet. Inhaling, drawing long from your tail up through your sternum and the back of your skull. If you're folded forward or leaning back, next time you inhale, bring yourself upright, soften your feet and your legs, and use your right hand to gather up your right leg as you bring it around, facing off the short end of the mat. Cross your right ankle over the top of your left thigh. If you have any issues with your knees or you just find this is easier, you can keep this left leg long. If it feels like it will work for you, give it a try to roll to the outer left thigh, bend your left knee, and tuck your left foot in towards your right butt cheek, but not so much that you're sitting on it. Make sure that your right butt cheek is firmly planted and your heel is just outside. Engage through the underfoot, the ball of the left foot, to help protect that knee. And then bring your right hand a little bit more centered in towards your spine, like you have a fantail. The wrist right in next to the sacrum, fingers out. You might even be up on fingertips. Use your inhale to push the ground away, to lift up through your sternum. And use your exhale to draw your belly around towards your right hip. So the twist is coming from your core strength. Inhale, push the ground away, lift up. Exhale, draw your belly around. Do that one more breath. When you get to this farthest point, if it works for your hip, if you want to take this deeper, you can start drawing your top knee in towards you with your left hand. But feel how that creates a curve through your low back. So prioritize the integrity of the low back. Let your knee go to wherever it needs to so that your low back stays long in its natural curve. And then see if you can release your head towards your right shoulder. So right ear towards your right shoulder, or your nose or your chin towards your shoulder if that feels a little bit more breathable. Even though you've released your head, keep the structure underneath. So push the ground away with your right hand, lift up through your sternum, both shoulders on your back, so that when you draw around, you're drawing your rib cage around and not just pulling your left shoulder off your back. Relax your jaw. Use your next exhale to change the angle and release your head down. Keeping your head relaxed, inhale your right arm up, come around, and then ease back into your hands. And reset your left foot, your underfoot, taking it a little bit farther forward. Engage through both feet to protect both knees. So you're setting your knee above your ankle on the right and your ankle above your knee on the left. And just like we did in the last couple of postures, use your hands to push the ground away to find the curve of your low back, which may mean that you need to lean back if you're honest with your spine. If you're a bit more flexible here, you can sit up tall, maybe even bring your hands forward onto your top knee and ankle. If you find that you're that open and you have your hands on your top leg, you can draw your sternum up with the strength of your arms, but don't abuse that. Exhaling, and if you're folding forward, do it from your hip joints instead of rounding from your spine. Make sure that you can breathe into this. See if you can feel that both sits bones are evenly planted on the ground. And when you find the place that you can breathe, give it one more inhale. If you're leaning back or leaning forward, use your next inhale to lift up, ease back into your hands, and then gently unwind your legs. Take your time here and either windshield wiper them side to side or shake them out. Find what feels good. Keep your breath flowing. And we'll move into that twist Matsyendrasana on the other side. So cross your left ankle just above your right knee on your thigh. And again, feel free to keep this right leg long if that works best for you. If it works for you to have both knees bent, then lean into your right thigh, bend your right knee, and tuck your foot in towards your left butt cheek, but not so much that you sit on it. Engage through the ball of your right foot. Check that you're even on your sits bones. You might need to draw the flesh of your butt out. And then push the ground away with your hands, feeling you're more up on your sits bones than back on your tailbone. And when you get that, bring your left hand right into center. You might need to be on fingertips or have your elbow bent so that your shoulder is broad on your back. Rest your right hand on your left knee. Inhale, lift your sternum up, and then exhale, draw your belly button around towards your left hip. And then again, inhale, push the ground away, draw up, and exhale, draw your belly button around towards your left hip. And feel how just that action takes you deeper into your left hip. One more breath in this way. Inhale, push the ground away with your left hand, lift up through the length of your spine. Exhale, draw your belly around towards your left hip. And keeping both shoulder blades on your back. If you want to play with drawing your top knee, your left knee in towards you, feel with your left hand behind you how your low back wants to round, and prioritize that low back. So only bending and drawing your knee in to the extent that your low back doesn't collapse. When you get to the farthest place that's going to work for you, where you can breathe into that intensity in your hips, where you can be true to yourself, then let your head release. So you're releasing your left ear towards your left shoulder, lifting the breath all the way up into the right side of your neck, checking that you can breathe into that and keep your jaw and tongue relaxed. So feel free to change the angle of your head if you need to. Even though your head's released, keep the lift underneath. Next time you exhale, let your head roll forward. Give that a breath. And then release your head down. Lift your left arm up as you inhale. Ease back into your hands. And and take a slow transition. So you're walking your right foot forward, bring the sole of that right foot to square off the long edge of the mat, and then do the same with the left foot. So you have the four corners of both feet squaring off the long edges of the mat. Push the ground away with your hands, lift your sternum up, find the curve in your low back, which may mean that you need to lean back. Be honest with yourself. We're practicing here with coming home to oneself, svadhisthana, one's own home, one's own sweetness. So find where it's sweet for you, where you can breathe. If that means that you can sit up tall and take weight out of the hands, be sure you have your feet engaged, your core engaged to support that opening in the hips. And if you're folding forward at all, double check with your low back that you're not rounding towards the back edge of the mat, that you're finding the lift from your sits bones, the pivot from your hips. Get a sense of breathing all the way down into your hip joints as though you could. This next time that you inhale, if you're leaning forward, bring yourself upright. If you're leaning back, stay there. Gently unwind your legs, take them out long, and either windshield wiper your legs or shake them, see what feels good. Noticing what you're feeling, what you've opened in that area. We're going to bring the legs around and underneath and come up onto knees, hands and knees, coming up onto your fingertips. And then we're going to take a funky little duck walk, crossing one thigh over in front of the other, walking your hands forward. And when you get towards the front edge of the mat, then start moving back. Bring yourself to about the middle of the mat with your right thigh in front. And then open your feet out towards the edges of the mat, so that when you ease your way back, using your arm strength to help you, you're sitting between your heels and not on them. You may need to sit on a block. It's really important here that your knees are safe. So feel free to sit up on a blanket or a block or two blocks so that your knees are safe. And to help support your knees, engage through the balls of your feet, both feet. Push the ground away with your hands behind you, finding that curve through your low back. And then bring your arms up overhead, palms facing each other, and clear your shoulders down onto your back. Press through the balls of your feet. So again, you're engaging yang through the feet. Bend your right elbow, bring your palm to the back of your neck. And then bend your left elbow and bring your left hand to your right elbow. And very gently draw your right elbow in towards your head. And slide both shoulders down so your left forearm rests on the top of your head. You have space around your neck. Breathing into that right shoulder as well as deep down into the hips. Feet still engaged. This next time that you inhale, lift your left arm up, turn your palm out as you bring it out to the side so it's facing back. And then as you bring your hand behind you, if your fingers don't hook, don't force it. Hold on to your shirt instead, or use the strap if you have one. As you inhale, think of lifting your right elbow up, and as you exhale, think of opening your left shoulder back and releasing your left elbow down. If your low ribs have jutted out in front, tuck them back slightly. And if your head is dropped, lift your chin off your chest. This is called Gomukhasana, which means face of light. So find some lightness here. Next inhale, unwind your arms. Bring them out to the sides and then up overhead, palms facing each other. And then exhale and release your hands back behind you. Lean back and come back up eventually into your duck walk. If you feel confident to lift up from here, push the ground away with your hands, come up onto your knees and walk your way forward and back, stacking your thighs, feet out wide. When you get towards the front or the back edge of the mat, then walk your way back towards the middle. Finding where your left thigh is now in front and really wedging the thighs together. Open your feet out towards the edges. Use your arm strength to ease your way back. Usually there's a difference between the two sides, the two hips. You may need a block on this side, even if you didn't need it on the other side. You have your knees stacked, your feet engaged right away to protect the knee joints. Finding where you're on your sits bones, not back on your tailbone, so you might need to draw your butt out. Push the ground away with your hands, check your low back, see if you can find where your spines disappear into the strength of your low back muscles. When you get that, inhale your arms up, palms facing each other, shoulders clear onto your back. And the next time that you exhale, bend your left elbow, bring your palm to the back of your neck. And then bring your right hand to your left elbow and gently draw it in and up, but then slide your shoulders down and settle your right forearm onto the top of your head, lifting your head if your chin's drop down onto your chest. So remembering that meaning of Gomukhasana, the face of light. So if you feel all dark and coward, lift your head up. And once you find some opening there in your left shoulder, inhale your right arm up long and out to the side. And then bend your elbow and bring your hand up. Don't force it. Be gentle with your shoulder. If you can hook your fingers, great. Otherwise, hold your shirt or a strap. And notice the difference on this side. Usually there's quite a difference between the shoulders and the hips. As you inhale, think of lifting your left elbow up. As you exhale, think of dropping your right shoulder and elbow down, opening the front of that right shoulder back. Finding the openness in your face and in your front body and in your hips. Long, deep breath. This next time that you inhale, unwind your arms, taking them out to the sides and then up overhead. Use your exhale to release your arms out and down. And this time, ease back into your hands, unwind your legs from here. As you take your legs out in front, windshield wiper them side to side or shake them out. We're now going to release into resting over the bolster. If you don't have a bolster, you can use a rolled mat under your back and stack a pillow over it, or tie a couple of pillows together. You can be creative about how you give yourself a bit of a rest. Set the bolster behind you and then bring the blocks out on either side, but not so close in that they get in the way of the bound angle posture as we come into it, just within reach. And then gather up your legs, bring the soles of your feet together, drop your knees out to the sides, draw the flesh of your bum out so you're on your sits bones. And then use your hands on your ankles to draw yourself up tall as you take your knees up and down in a butterfly action, releasing the hip joints. If this doesn't feel smart for you, then just stay steady and lift tall. Keeping your breath flowing, jaw relaxed, releasing all of the intensity that we've brought into those hip joints. Next time that you inhale, draw yourself up tall, lift your sternum, and then as you exhale, lengthen out over your legs. If possible, let your head release, let your back round. And then inchworm, undulate your spine. So inhale, draw forward, sternum and head, and then exhale and let your spine release. If possible, let your head release. Settle your elbows onto your legs, shins, knees, thighs, and use your arms like brackets to draw your spine long and forward. You can either keep your elbows here, if that helps you feel more stable, especially if your knees are high, your hips are tight. Or if you like, this next time that you exhale, you can take your arms out long in front and fold over and release down. See where you feel stable, like you're not going to roll backwards. And then breathe here. See if you can let go like a flower closing down for the night, letting go of the weight of your head. Breathing along the length of your spine. There's a lot of courage involved in opening the hips and allowing these tight areas to open. Notice if you're holding tight in your teeth or your tongue. Keep some space in your face. Use your next inhale to push the ground away with your hands, to uncurl your spine, letting your head come up last. And as you come upright, gather up your blocks or your blankets, whatever supports you have for your legs, and bring them underneath so that you're in a comfortable place and your legs feel supported. Your inner thighs don't have to hold the knees up. You can fully release down. When you find that place, if you're covering up with a blanket, put it over your legs, or if you have socks or something to put over your lower body, put that over before you come back, and then ease your way back over the bolster. And as you're coming back, look to see that your knees are the same height. So notice if one knee is higher, one hip is tighter, and if it is, bring the other knee up to match it. Give your pelvis an opportunity to even out by evening out your knees. If you have something to cover your eyes with, put that over your eyes. And then settle your spine onto the bolster. If your low back is not feeling happy, tuck your tail down towards your feet or shift the bolster back. And then take your arms out, maybe even up a little bit. Find the place where you get a stretch, an opening through your upper back and chest. And you have to consciously breathe to stay there. It's a little bit intense. But let your arms relax as much as possible and take the breath into that intensity of opening up the shoulders and the upper back and chest. And then you might find that it changes, that it releases, and your arms can stay there. But if you want to bring them down, once you feel a bit of opening in the chest, then let your arms settle down an easy distance from your sides. At any point, if releasing back over this curve, being in this supported bound angle posture, Supta Baddha Konasana, if this doesn't work for you after all the hip opening that we've done, give yourself permission to release into Shavasana instead. If you're settling over the bolster, allow the muscles along your spine to soften and allow your body to receive the support underneath it. The knees to settle onto the blocks or blankets, the spine to rest on the bolster. And also to take the comfort of any coverings you have over your front body, to settle into the warmth of the blanket, into the darkness of the eye pillow. If you're still actively breathing, let go of your breath. Feeling supported by what's underneath you, what's on top of you, but also feeling supported by the breath moving through you without having to do it. And having given yourself this time and this space, trusting that there's nothing else you need to do, so your mind can rest in the rhythm of the breath. As you allow yourself to rest, dropping into the meaning of svadhisthana, sweetness, or one's own home, one's own abode, having set a foundation for yourself, a place to rest, then accept that support system. Allow yourself to drop down, to drop off any distractions, fixations in the mind or the heart, giving yourself permission to be free here, to have that taste of freedom. I'll leave you for a few moments of silence in this stillness, in this place of sweetness that you've found for yourself. If your attention is not already on your breath in your belly, bring your mind back. Notice the flow of your breath coming and going. Begin to deepen your breathing, allowing the belly to expand, the ribs and the chest to open, feeling the breath along your spine, perhaps down into your hips and up into your shoulders. You're going to make a very easy, gentle transition from this posture into resting on your back with minimal effort. So move one block out of your way and take the opposite knee over towards that knee that just settled onto the ground and roll off the side of the bolster. Move the bolster out of your way so that you can come down onto your back. Lengthen out through your legs, stretching out through the heels of your feet. Lengthen through your arms and through your spine. So you may need to shift your bum down or out. Check internally that you feel symmetrical. Make any adjustments and then settle into the symmetry and the stillness of your body. As you continue to rest another moment, I'll read you a poem by Mary Oliver called The Sunflowers. Come with me into the field of sunflowers. Their faces are burnished discs. Their dry spines creak like ship masts. Their green leaves, so heavy and many, fill all day with the sticky sugars of the sun. Come with me to visit the sunflowers. They are shy, but want to be friends. They have wonderful stories of when they were young, the important weather, the wandering crows. Don't be afraid to ask them questions. Their bright faces, which follow the sun, will listen, and all those rows of seeds, each one a new life. Hope for a deeper acquaintance. Each of them, though it stands in a crowd of many, like a separate universe, is lonely. The long work of turning their lives into a celebration is not easy. Come, and let us talk with those modest faces, the simple garments of leaves, the coarse roots in the earth, so uprightly burning. Deepen your breathing, extend your breath down into your legs and your arms, your feet and your hands. Take a stretch through the length of your body and then roll easily over to your right side. Use your arm strength more than your neck strength to bring yourself up from your right side to sitting. If you have your rolled mat handy, use that underneath your sits bones to sit on, or use a block or a blanket so that you elevate your hips above your knees, allowing the knees to release, front thighs and hips to open, and the spine to find its natural curves. And we're working with the prosperity meditation that's extended from what we have been doing. You're bringing your hands into Gyan Mudra, first finger and thumb connected together, the other 3 fingers long, and you're forearms parallel to each other and to the ground. This mantra, Heart Hare Hari Wahe Guru, indicates seed, flow, completion unto the ecstatic infinity of God. Take your gaze inwards and upwards towards Ajna Chakra, or look down towards the tip of your nose, eyes almost closed. Once you get a sense of the mantra, and you don't need to look outwards, take your gaze inwards. Rolling your R so it sounds almost like a D. Join in as you're ready. Heart Hare Hari Wahe Guru. 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 Last one. Heart Hare Hari Wahe Guru. As you inhale, stretch your fingers out. Lengthen your arms out. Inhale, gather up. Completing the practice by drawing down and in, and drawing down and in what you'd like to carry with you off the mat. Acknowledging yourself for being present, bowing to your light, your divinity, and if you're practicing with anyone else, acknowledging them as well. Namaste.